schedule points on besides Adam until Adam gets
Okay.
here.
We'll open up the workshop.
So we'll skip over to Adam and then we'll go to the ATV ordinance. And I'm gonna have Rob help me out with this because after I sent this out on Saturday morning, Rob got to thinking about this.
We have an ATV ordinance and we have a special vehicle, use ordinance dealing with golf carts and whatnot. So they're two separate ordinances, but there's permitting processes for ATVs inside of the special vehicle ordinance as well. So I know we had sent Patrick League of Minnesota Cities ordinance a while back, and that was kind of basically, that looked like a good option for us, but we really haven't moved forward with anything since. And I know we had discussed as a council a while back about lighting for the golf carts and things like that as well. Nothing's really moved forward on any of that yet, so I guess maybe now is the time to start discussing, because we had somebody come in about driving their ATV at night, and this might be an option to kind of combine some of these ordinances, repeal the ones that are existing, combine them into one ordinance that basically covers all of these different aspects of things to make sure that we've got it covered and allow them for their nighttime use as well. So the League of Minnesota Cities ordinance does not have specifics in it as far as county roads and stuff that we have prohibited in our current city ordinances. We'd have to add that stuff in unless the council feels that they don't want to deal with that anymore. But this might be a good time to kind of review everything and decide what it is we want to do. That's it in a nutshell.
Patrick, do you have any thoughts? Repeal the whole thing, start over, or modify what we currently have?
Well, we can do anything. All of the above. I mean, nothing's more complicated or less complicated than the other. So whatever direction I get, I'll make it so.
The difficulty is we have a lot of stuff in our ordinances that, through the recodification process that we did way back when, and we've added quite a few since, and they're really not being added into the, the books that we have. So I think it's difficult at times to kind of start looking through things and finding it in two separate areas, and things conflict because we haven't had a good process for trying to keep everything together and in one spot. But again, this is kind of one of those circumstances where we've got two different ordinances dealing with the same thing, and we just need to kind of get it figured out, regardless of whether we allow ATVs or golf carts at, driving at night, that type of thing. Anyway, we just need to get it kind of combined. Does any of the council members have any thoughts as far as allowing lighting on ATVs and operating in the evening hours, or golf carts and that stuff? I know we kind of talked about that in the past, but
I think combining the two into one is probably a good idea, less cumbersome. That way, when the officers are out seeing, patrolling, they don't have to try to remember two different ordinances for the same type of vehicle.
right.
I mean, and to allow the use of the golf carts and ATVs at night, I think is probably a wise thing to make it allowable instead of people trying to sneak around and accidentally shutting lights off and running into something or causing somebody to get harmed. And then trying to get home when they knew they should have gotten home an hour ago, So,
What are the council's thoughts on the county roads in town? Because I know we have a lot of people that are kind of coming off of different roadways to get onto the county roads, driving them for a block, then cutting up on different side streets and things like that, trying to get to the gas stations.
What's your take on it? I guess us.
My only concern would be the downtown with the offsetting intersections, and maybe some of those safety issues will be, Adam's gonna, magically fix for us all of this street traffic. But I have a hunch that some of those issues are still going to remain no matter what, just with the visibility issues downtown and my biggest fear and my biggest concern about the golf carts initially was having a family on the golf cart, and getting hit by a car or T-bone because there's really no safety equipment on it. So it wouldn't take a high-speed impact to cause major injuries, and that's always been a concern of ATVs, golf carts, and things like that, which is why we try to keep them off the main travel roads in town. But I can also see where there's some difficulties getting in and out, or people that are driving their ATVs into town from out the country, that have to get up in and out of those roads as well, so.
I mean, truly the only thing that's really allowed, I guess, for ATV wise, it would be a side-by-side. That's allowed to be driving on a county road per the statute. As far as I know, Butterfield and other cities in our county, you're allowed to cross the county road or most direct route to your location. You can't be like driving 5 miles on it and then get into it. It's crossing, and if it takes a little bit to get down to it, to get over, it's the most direct route, direct crossing is, I think, how the other cities are that allows golf carts as well, and ATVs.
I think that's what ours is too, isn't it?
It's cross.
Yeah, it's cross in the most direct manner.
Yeah, I mean, the side-by-side thing, they have the license plates, so I think they can
drive on any county, or as long as it's not a freeway or interstate, right? Patrick, isn't it, for ATV or the side-by-side? Trying to remember. I think they have to drive to the most extreme right of the road, so basically on the shoulder of the road, and they have to, they can drive on highways and county roads. They just can't drive on like Highway 60.
But our city ordinance has restricted that further to stay off the county roads. We're trying to enforce it. I mean, we haven't written any tickets or anything like that, but when we see it, we can kind of try to explain to the good citizens to kind of use the roundabout ways. But
I think if you just do the direct, once you get into city limits, it's the most direct route. So like if you're coming in on Drew or Benzel, you have to immediately get to a side street after you get into city limits.
right, that's kind of the way we've been running it. But so I just want to make sure that everybody's still good with that moving forward.
Yeah, so you want to work with Patrick and...
So, but basically right now, does that allow a community member to drive to the grocery store? Since the grocery store is on, I mean, how does that impact the current ordinance? Or the gas station or whatever? It's fine?
Yeah, I mean, I think people have been able to figure out a means of getting to those locations, typically by just, either crossing, from Center Avenue on, across Main Street to get in, or coming from the north on Center Avenue. So they take side streets to basically get a roundabout way to, I mean, quite frankly, if you're driving an ATV or a golf cart, you're probably not in a huge hurry to get to where you're going anyway. It's more of a casual thing, so, it's been pretty good, so. Chris, do you have anything to add or questions?
No, I just want to know which way we're going in regards to, are we repealing the whole ordinance, or are we modifying what we currently have?
Well, I'm with Mark on the fact that we need to have one ordinance, because having two is confusing.
So then we're repealing both of the ordinances and making one.
But I have a question. Could we not take the language that's in the ATV ordinance, put it in the special purpose vehicle ordinance, and just repeal the ATV ordinance?
So you're repealing one and you're amending the other.
Right.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other, really?
Yeah. Okay. That's what one or the other.
It doesn't.
We need to get rid of two ordinances. That's just, law enforcement side, which is an important piece of this, they don't always keep up. Sometimes you have to fix the language.
To be honest with you, I think just repealing both of them and just starting fresh, because if you amend it, we have to go through every section that you changed. So you're better off just repealing both of them and being done and creating a whole new one.
That way you can equally and easily create one document that you can take the best out of what we want.
But do you see what I'm saying? If you leave that number sequence, and then you're gonna have to go through each section and say this was amended, that was amended. Yeah.
One more time for Patrick.
My recollection on the last discussion on this point was, were we gonna more carefully craft what needs to be on a cart or night driving or anything like that, or did we already make those changes and I'll have to reincorporate them?
We haven't, we discussed it here at the council meeting, but as far as, I guess we never really came back with a prepared change, so I think there was some discussion on making sure there was signals and headlight, taillight type thing for place, but we didn't really get any farther than that.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, because we went through, there were two parts of it. One of them, as I recall, was a state ordinance that said you had to have this, and then there were a bunch of things you could add on. And we just said, let's hold off the add-ons.
Yeah, I did that. That sounds accurate.
Yeah, because there was some things that weren't feasible for,
Right.
for something.
And that's the only reason I asked the question about keeping one, because I get the numbering and sequencing, but I don't know if I'm opening that can of worms again. Because it wasn't a meeting, it was many meetings.
And I wonder if we didn't table that one. I mean, I know we then turned our focus to the Fowler problem, so.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we accepted, there were two paragraphs. We accepted the top part, and then just held off on the bottom part. It was things like,
I think that, we can have a meeting to suss out the language before we send,
Yeah.
put it on.
Well, that's just it, we could always have Rob and Chris draft it together, show you, you get to the list, and then bring it to us, and.
But at this time, everything's still in effect. Nothing is repealed until something is approved into the last minute. Correct?
Correct.
Yep. So in the meantime, people are probably gonna drive at night.
Well, and I think that's part of why it got brought up, is people are driving at night anyways. The ordinance states that you're technically not supposed to be, and, yeah, so. Yeah.
Okay, so with that all being said, Rob and I will put together something for Patrick, or whatever Patrick, us three decide to compile this, and we'll bring it back for you guys to take a look at it. Okay?
Have to probably take that off the council meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're really not gonna take any action on anything.
No.
So we'll delete that out of there. Adam is here. Should we jump over to Adam, or do you want me to go through the rest of the stuff?
No, we can go to Adam.
All right. Hi, Adam.
Hi, how are you? Good. So we bid out the Center Avenue project Thursday, February 27th. We ended up getting 6 bids on that. If you remember, we ended up bidding that one out as a base bid with 3 alternate bids. The reason we did that was to ensure that, we got so much money from the state that we had there to make sure that we could kind of maximize that. If, the base bid got too high, then we could lump off some of that. So with that in mind, the low bidder was GM Contracting of Lake Crystal. With that, and with their base bid and then the 3 alternate bids, that actually came in, right at our engineer's estimate. So, GM was at, $10,804,898.23. So with that, we, ended up with about, 44,000, so left in that, money that we got from the state, so that's a kind of a construction contingency fund, with that, so I was really excited to see those bids come in there. What we're looking to do tonight, at the council meeting is 2 things, one is to, approve the agreement with, MnDOT, and that's for, entering in the agreement so that they can give us the funds that, we're talking about there. And then the other one would be awarding that contract, the GM contract. I guess with that, I can open it up for any questions you guys have about the project or the process, or...
This contractor, you've seen their work, are they pretty good shot at, they're not shoddy?
They're capable. We've worked with them in the past, but on various other projects, and they've completed them, yeah.
So this bid would be the base bid plus the 3 alternates.
Plus the 3 alternates, we would award everything there. So that would be, the alternates that included, alternate 1 was First Street from Center to Benzel. The second one was from Center to Adams Avenue. And then the third one was the alley and the parking lot. What do I want to say, just north of the new substation down there. So between Main and First Street south.
What was the total on it again?
The total, that was $10,804,898.23.
What's 44,000 was it? A little over 44?
Yeah, no, what we had is once they got into the grant agreement that they put another $44,102 in they call it a construction contingency fund. So what that does is that's for, overages, or if there's some unknown thing, we can tap into that money. We'd have to go into state aid to get their approval to use that money, but, I don't really see there being,
Will there be a timeline between First Street South and Main and First Street North with liquidated damages if they're not done within a certain time? Or?
Yeah, so what we did on the project is we split it up into different phases. So the first phase is from Old Highway 60 up to Main Street. Kind of one of the caveats there is down on 4th. We got to keep Tony Downs with their loading dock down there open, so they can't do all that. So they got a phase on 4th Street South, trying to get the trucks in. So they can only build up to a certain point and leave the rest in there until they get everything else built up to, concrete road before we'll let them finish the rest. So that's kind of the caveat there. The phase 2 would be Main Street itself. We put in the contract on that they have 50 consecutive calendar days to get that completed. So that's the underground work and getting that back up to the concrete roadway. And then phase 3 is from Main Street up to First Street North. Phase 4 is from First Street North on Center Avenue all the way to the north. And then we had phase 5 was going off on the side streets on First Street North. Phase 6 is the parking lot. So what we did there too with the phasing is that, so for the grocery store up there, we're always going to maintain it. There's always going to be one hard surface access into that, whether that's off of Main Street or Center Street. So if they rip up Main Street, they can't go on Center Street until they get Main Street back up to a hard surface entrance into there. So there's a little bit of a kind of a timing issue right through there, but we thought that was kind of the best route to go, for the businesses. Also along, once we start going on Center Avenue North from Main Street there, we're not letting them go down First Street right away. We want to make sure that they got to get past that first before they can get on these other ones, just so we're not cutting off, both sides of the post office, for example.
And I'm guessing with GM, this will be a 2-year project?
Correct. This is set up to be a 2-year project with, we'll have substantial completion will be done by end of the year 2026, and then we'll have a little bit of a wear course to put on in 2027.
Okay.
So right now, I don't know the schedule. Once we award it, that'll get the wheels going there. We'll get a pre-con meeting that they'll come in. Then they'll provide what a schedule is, kind of go over everything. Once we get their schedule, then we can start engaging with the public a little more with expectations of, when stuff's going to be closed. Main Street one, that's going to be the big question. Everybody wants to know, when's that going to be closed down, so we'll get some answers to those, and then we'll proceed from there. With knowing that though too, schedules they're a good planning tool, but weather ultimately can change that, of how that goes too, so, you know, it's a tentative schedule, it's not a concrete schedule.
Just out of curiosity, so on First Street North, going towards the elementary school, going towards Adams,
Yep,
I get why First Street going west is part of it, but why is First Street going east? Are we creating a truck route right by the elementary school?
No.
no,
It's
that's
just in
not,
the infrastructure.
Yeah.
The infrastructure that's in first going towards the elementary, we have sewer that's running through people's backyards.
Okay.
And there's no alleyways in the back there. Yeah, so we're trying to create
And
all
kind of the
this.
shortest street to, it's like,
I was thinking more of the concrete than I was the stuff.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, disregard.
yeah, another benefit to that too is, you know, now we're, you know, on Center Avenue, we're gonna have that corridor with sidewalks, you know, that's going along the whole length of that corridor that will get this over to the elementary school.
Yeah.
Yep, perfect.
Any other questions? Matt?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem.
We got one. Non-union employee contracts were negotiated by the Personnel Committee and were aligned with the newly negotiated police contract to be compliant with pay equity. So that is on the agenda to approve. The city, number 4, the city will not be filling the position that Ben Lehman had as street crew chief. The city is creating a new position of Public Works and Utility Manager, in which they will oversee all of the city departments. This position will be posted internally for 2 weeks. That is also on the agenda. Golf Commission meeting minutes and the plan of action for the golf course for the 2025 season. The golf course, or the Golf Commission met on last week, and we determined that the golf course will open Memorial Weekend. And because they would like the spring to get it conditioned a little bit better. And then we are going to run the specials that we ran last year all the way through this whole year for memberships. We're not changing any of the other prices for greens fees or anything like that. Everything else will remain the same. The other thing is, the school will not be playing golf there this spring, nor Medelia, nor Lake Crystal. They have made alternative plans in that regard. I want to make it known to the public that the park is open. Everybody can use the park. We want everybody down there. I know there was some talk in regards to the park was closed. No, the park is not closed. You can go ahead and go down there, walk through the park, enjoy, please. So what I said before, spring golf, baseball, softball will not be played at the city fields due to the flood restoration work. That all needs to be done still. Arrangements by the school are being made to accommodate this, but as Glenn stopped in my office tonight, that might not necessarily be the case with all of them. But I'm hoping, Glenn, you can help me out with that. But I do know baseball, varsity and regular baseball, and the golf, they have all found other places to go. Campground reservations are open and been open since January 1st. They're coming, I think now, I just saw a little bump in my little graph, I think because with the nicer weather, we're seeing some more come in now. So we're going to get that ad going again on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, so it pops up when you guys are scrolling, so you remember to book your reservation. But other than that, that's all I have on the workshop tonight. I was hoping Adam would talk a lot longer, you had more questions.
Well, let's face it, a lot's gone in to get us to this point, so, from a planning and an organization standpoint.
Yes, I, thank you, Adam, for everything. Because we didn't ask him just to do 1 or 2 blocks, we asked him to do, how many blocks is it? 17?
4,000 square feet.
Do you have nightmares of it?
Is that a nightmare, is it? No, not yet.
Ask him in July.
When it comes to the point of trying to do 4th Street by Mandel or by Center, that's gonna be,
So it was a challenging project, but, I feel like we got a pretty good plan here, and we'll see what we get into and see what surprises are underground for us, I guess.
So if they're coming from Lake Crystal and that whole area is ripped up and they're gonna bypass, how's that gonna work, getting materials here, it's just their people here every day?
I guess that's not my problem to figure out, that's your problem.
All the years.
Hopefully they, it just depends on like aggregate sources, I mean, if they can get it on this side, that's not an issue. I mean, they don't have it, they got their shop or nothing.
they're gonna get to know Garden City real well, and you have to come from the north.
Right.
I'd make a motion to close the workshop.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.